To understand this, you have to go back to what young brother here referred to as the house Negro and the field Negro. Back during slavery, there was two kinds of slaves.
Hotel family, my name is Brother Ray Ray. Hello family, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Brooklyn William Mackey Jr.'s history class, also known as Africans Helping Africans, Mackey Study Group. We meet here twice a month in honor of Dr. William Mackey Jr., Amos Wilson, Louis Ray Rivera, Brother Gil Noble, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, and all the people who gave her fame and fortune. Good jobs, big Cadillacs. They didn't take the money, as me and Dr. Lewis always talks about. They did not take the money. And they did the research. And the history that they brought forth is truth to the best of their ability, but like Mackie always say, you only scratch the surface. So give yourself a big hand for coming out in this weather, because all of you come out in this weather are thirsty for information. And we keep Mackies going. Now, in honor of Dr. Professor Amos Wilson, we have what we call the Amos Collection, Blueprint for Black Power, for the developmental psychology of the black child. The psychology of self-hatred and self-defeat towards a reclamation of the African mind. African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. Garveyism in the age of globalism. Psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in service of white domination. This is black on black violence. African-centered consciousness versus the New World Order. Said that again. In honor of Louis Ray Rivera, we have Jazz in Jail. We have Amos Issues of Manhood in Black and White. Falsification of African Consciousness. S.K. Damiana Akihom, Distorting Truths and the Bastardization of African Cosmetology. We have The Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children. And Brother Earl Ponder, he left us too soon. Revealing the unspeakable Bible verses, the truth about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and the Holy Trinity. Brother Ponder passed away, and he left Sabbath with a whole bunch of books. So we bring these books here, and any books that's purchased, the money goes back toward African World Info System, so Sababa can continue the work of Amos. So I want to thank you. Our brother alternates Mannix, and then we're going to turn it over to Keisha. We also have Brother Mike Graves of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. His show on Tuesdays, Community Cop. Come on at 5:30 on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And also, we have our speaker Keisha, who's the co-host of Thorough Black Talk on Facebook and YouTube. On Thursdays at 8 o'clock. Come in, you log on, you just type it on the left side and the program will come up. 1 second. Biden, that everybody voted for, is thinking about giving Rahm Emanuel a job in his cabinet, and his brother Ezekiel Emanuel. Ezekiel Emanuel was the person that drafted up the Obamacare. And Rahm Emanuel was the mayor of Chicago, and he withheld the tapes of the McDonald killing. And those strong blacks and black folks in Chicago got together and said, no. It ruined them. So, according to the Forward magazine, Jewish magazine, they're thinking about putting him in the cabinet. So, you got to look and see who all these people that want to get a job now. While we was running around voting for him like it was no tomorrow. standing in line. If you're not doing nothing on Saturdays while everybody is moving and grooving, bouncing, watching TV, we have Sister Empress Chi out of Philadelphia. What's the name of Keisha?
New Day Liberation.
New Day Liberation comes on at 10:30. Comes on at 10:30. You go into Blog Talk Radio. You type in Empress Chi. And then when you hit Empress Chi at 10:30, the program will come up for today. For that Saturday, and you can be on there. But this is the writings of Alton Maddox. We're running a little late, so I'm going to try to read this. This is, he writes a column. And this is 1968, Coweta County, the Southern Strategy by Alton H. Maddox, the real attorney at war. And I'm going to read this a little quick. My roots are in Newnan, Coweta County, Georgia, even though I had my eyes set on equality for all at a very early age. In 1968 is a good year to date my involvement in the human rights struggle. It is certainly documented in public records and in the business records. I believe in the public records exception and the business records. Exceptions to he said. Rules, records contain reliable truths. In 1968, I was assaulted and beaten by the rogue members of the Newnan Police Department in Georgia for engaging in one-person sit-in at lunch counters. I chose to go solo and to openly oppose the Vietnam War for using poor men as cannon fodder. I am sure this experience further shapes my commitment to creating a society of justice for all. I was also shaped by the growing up in a town in a segregated South that respected the humanity of the black population. Case in point, Coweta County, Georgia was the home of Georgia Governor Ellis Arnell. He a progressive. He defeated Governor Eugene Talmadge, a staunch segregationist. After living under Governor Talmadge, Governor Ellis Arnell for blacks in Georgia was a breath of fresh air. According to my father, blacks would head for the tall grass before Talmadge would arrive on the political stump. Throughout the 59 counties in Georgia, his speeches were always laced with racism. Governor Ellis Arnell gave Georgia the first peep into what was to become the New South. Noonan's playbook allowed me to vote in 1963. White women would register all voters amid integration Tea Party. Newnan was no Selma, Alabama, and there was no Edmund Pettus Bridge in Newnan. Daddy King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s father, chose Newnan, Coweta County, Georgia, for the pastoral venue of his son, Reverend Alfred Daniels, A.D. King. He slated that he was given one son, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to the civil rights movement. His son was enough. One son was enough. Coweta County was safer for blacks than Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia. True to Daddy King prophecy, the Ku Klux Klan never challenged Reverend A.D. King in Coweta County. An unarmed Coweta County Sheriff, Lamar Potts, banned the Ku Klux Klan from the county. You have to understand state and local government law to appreciate these effects on the fair administration of government. Governor Eugene Talmadge's son, Herman Talmadge, was elected to the United States Senate in 1956. During his tenure as a U.S. state, Talmadge continued the legacy of his father as a fold of civil rights legislation, even as the civil rights movement gained momentum and support across the county. He saw to it, the country rather, he saw to it that blacks in Georgia remained disenfranchised under state laws passed by white Democrats and discriminatory practice. After the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King on April 4th, 1968, Maynard Jackson Holbrook Jackson Jr. announced at Emory University in Decatur, DeKalb County, Georgia, on April 5th, 1968, that he would be throwing his hat in the ring for the U.S. Senate to challenge Herman Talmadge and the Talmadge dynasty. My father and I rushed to Emory University, where Maynard headed the Emory University Poverty Center, to tell him he could count us in. I told Maynard Jackson that I was willing to run his campaign in South Georgia, including in the terrible Tarrant County, Georgia, the summer home of Coca-Cola Bottling Company in Atlanta. Later, it was acknowledged that white farmers gave Maynard Jackson's campaign a boost. I would join Maynard's campaign under the banner of the Democratic Party. Maynard running Coweta County allowed Willie P. Mitchell and me to put on our thinking caps. We were able to secure the Coweta County Courthouse for a political rally, even though our campaign motto had been Think Black, Buy Black, and Vote Black. Of course, the campaign colors were red, black, and green. As it turned out, the Georgia Democratic Party announced that Maynard Jackson would have to go through Noonan, Georgia. This was our bailiwick. I told Willie P. Mitchell that he would have to be the one to apply to the courthouse for Maynard to make Noonan a political stunt on his itinerary. While I would temporarily go to Dayton, Ohio, the Georgia Democratic Party considered me the outside agitator. Maynard Jackson also wanted to attend the 1968 Democratic National Convention as a delegate. Maynard not only spoke at the courthouse, but he was able to convince the mostly white voters to send him to Chicago as a delegate to the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Maynard became a delegate at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago was no small feat. Since the Georgia Democratic Party had gerrymandered the political line, Maynard had to run as a delegate in remote Coweta County, Georgia, instead of Fulton County, to be able to attend the infamous National Democratic Convention as a delegate. The Georgia Democratic Party had played into our hands. Maynard became a delegate in Coweta County in his 1968 U.S. Senate campaign. And unknown, Maynard Jackson received 1/3 of the vote statewide. It was an impressive political run, and I would use the Maynard Jackson paradigm in New York to head and guide the 1992 U.S. Senate campaign for Reverend Al Sharpton. No other political campaign of Sharpton would emulate this one in garnering for him 175,000 votes in New York. Maynard became a delegate at the 1968 Democratic National Convention and served as a launching pad for him to run a successful mayoral campaign against incumbent Mayor Sam Masson in 1973. At age of 35, Maynard Holbrook Jackson would in 1973 become Atlanta's first black mayor. As a mayor of Atlanta, he was the proponent of uplifting of his people through economic empowerment. His administration, in addition to completing the Hartford International Airport ahead of schedule and under budget, he gave blacks their first African-American public safety commissioner. Commissioner Reginald Evans brought police brutality to a screeching halt. Jackson created an untold number of black millionaires through his minority city business contracts and through the building of Hartford International Airport. Hartfield's airport was renamed Hartfield-Jackson in his honor in 2003. My father, Reverend Alton Maddox Sr., Willie P. Mitchell, and I, in 1968, enabled Jackson through our commitment and hard work to the struggle to attend the 1968 Democratic Convention a necessary building block for Maynard to eventually become mayor of Atlanta in '73. Maynard Jackson made us proud. After all, what good does it do to have black political representation if they are unwilling to effectively address the problems besetting the black community? Black faces in high places will not solve our problem. We, through self-determination, have the responsibility of keeping our grievances on the front burner and in the face of our elected officials. We must learn to advocate for our needs effectively. We must not allow the prophetic leadership model of Dr. King and so many other ancestors to be discarded for something less than what we had. In 1969, I attended the University of Georgia Law School to promote racial diversity in honor of Governor Ellis Arnold and Coweta County Sheriff Lamar Potts, who was unarmed while he kept the KKK at bay and away from Coweta County, Georgia. It saved Reverend A.D. King and so many others. Before I left, I made our grievance known to the law school. Marvin Manham, the third black law student to graduate from the University of Georgia Law School, told me years later after I left the school that Governor George Busby, a classmate, not only continued my goal of establishing a chapter of Law Students Civil Rights Research Council at the University of Georgia, but Georgia Law School, but he also recognized that I was ahead of the time. Busby later became governor of Georgia. In struggle, you do what you have to do. We have no notions that the assassination of Dr. Martin L. King would set in motion the Albany movement in Albany, Georgia. Bull Connor in Birmingham, Alabama. Maynard Jackson became the mayor of Atlanta. Jimmy Carter became the president of the United States. My enrollment in the University of Georgia Law School in 1969, and Reverend A.C. King died on my birthday, July 21st in 1969. These are the writings of Alton H. Maddox. He's still doing good. Do not write him off. And always remember, everybody is saying that they'll tell you, people died for your vote. No, no, no. Our ancestors didn't break their ass out there for we could vote. We were fighting for freedom. Freedom. And remember, they will be turning over in their goddamn grave if they saw that we was running around there voting and did not put our agenda first. Biden met with Netanyahu in Israel. He's given a whole bunch of Jews jobs, taking care of the LGBT community, and taking care of the immigrants, and have yet to do anything for us. Supposed to put us first. That's what they're turning over in their grave for. Freedom, not just the right to vote. Without further ado, we want to give you the co-host of Thorough Black Talk that comes on tomorrow at 8 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook. Sister Keisha Forrester, a.k.a.
Family, got all the troublemakers in here. If I go to jail, y'all gonna with me. Right? Right? Look, he like, what? I ain't gonna learn something over that. If I get caught, y'all going with me. But it's funny that, Ray read that piece from Alton, because that's some of what we're going to discuss tonight, right? First, as he said, my name is Keisha Forrester. I am a Brooklyn native. I am the co-founder and co-host of Thorough Black Talk Radio. I am the board director, historian for Sisterhood with a Purpose. I am the founder of Revolutionary Black Goddesses, and a host of other things.
Stand back so you get the light.
All right, I'm going to try, because I got to work that too. So, I'm going to be moving around. You got to rock with me. How about that?
Okay, we'll work it.
Okay? You got to rock with me. So, as Ray said, we just had a new election, right? Just got your new president-elect, or selected, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And as he said, everybody ran out to place a vote, but you got nothing in return. It's the same thing as going into Macy's and giving the cashier $500 and coming out with nothing. That's how we use our vote. And that's why in this country and around the world, we are on the bottom. Not accidentally. It's engineered that way because one of the things is we don't have a political education. We really don't know how this game goes. And until we understand that, we're going to continue to be played. Now, before I move on, we're going to go through some voting history. Because I want you all to understand that prior to us today, when we voted, we had our arms with us. And we had our wealth to secure them. It only turned for us when we gave up those arms and relied solely on the voting. That is how we lost everything in Tulsa. That's how you lost everything in Weeksville. That's even Fort Greene and Bed-Stuy was a Wall Street. We'll go through that as well. Prominent black men. So we definitely want to go through that. We also want to deal with the times that we're in, right? You're voting, you're hearing Trump, what was it, the second or third debate? Where he's like, stand back and stand by with the Proud Boys.
That's right.
What did that mean? Is he signaling a terrorist group? And where do you all stand in that? I don't think the parents of Kawan Charles understood that. Young 15-year-old brother found in the river in Louisiana. Some white woman, supposedly, and her son, takes him from the house, or apparently he might have known the boy. We don't know, it's still under investigation. According to New Orleans PD, it's still under investigation. But they've already determined that he was a drowning victim. Right? Pictures reminiscent of Emmett Till. And we are out here with no protection whatsoever. Everybody is getting armed. Everybody is being protected. I'm going to show you even the rabbis here in Brooklyn are armed in their synagogue. I'm going to show you videos that they themselves have posted. See, everybody's bold now. There's no holds barred. So I'm going to show you for yourself, so you can see for yourselves that this is what's happening. Meanwhile, you have, let me see what's the denominations, Baptist, Pentecostal, Methodist, where I'm missing? I don't know, I'm not a Christian. So if I miss anything, forgive me. But Episcopalian, well, they're not armed. As a matter of fact, these churches in the black community are hosting gun buyback programs. And every other community is arming themselves. The most scarce resource in this country right now, it ain't food, it ain't toilet paper, it ain't paper time, it's ammunition. There are waiting lists for ammunition. And yet, black politicians are not telling you this. They just tell you to come to the polls and vote. The synagogue on Eastern Parkway, I'm going to show you the rabbis telling you he's staying armed. And he don't trust none of y'all. These ain't going to be my words. It'll be his words. I'll show you a little bit later. So what did you vote for? Some people say, we just got to get Trump out of office. That's ridiculous. I like my races up front and clear. I don't like a racist behind the scene. We've got too comfortable with friendly political language. And that's why we're suffering out here. Nobody's asking the real questions. So tonight, we're going to ask some real questions. Right? So, if you all can see that, this is our people enslaved. One of these persons, you could be a descendant of. Now, looking at them, you tell me if they wish that you would vote for change. That you compromise for change. Why would you do that? Ray talked about, people often say, they died for the right to vote. Our people was getting murdered no matter what they was doing. Right? But they always came together to plan and plot. And this is a little blurry, but what they're waving are weapons. They never went to plan without a weapon. With the exception of 2 of us in this room, who else is armed? Who else is armed? Nobody. So if the boogaloos come rushing up in here, how do you move? How do you protect yourself? Are you even fit enough to protect yourself? Are you paying attention to your surroundings? Most of us don't. Now, while I was getting all of this technology set up over here, I paid attention to each and every one of you without me looking directly at you. For example, Dr. Lewis over here, he comes, he sits down, he crosses his legs, left over right, crosses his fingers, leans forward. That's very important because if someone is coming behind him and I'm standing in front of him, I have to be able to push him out of the way or make him acknowledge that somebody's coming behind him. We don't do that. When you go into a synagogue or any white organization, security is number one. Even in their communities, their security is number one. Who's securing us? Brother Ray said, Biden has chosen Rahm Emanuel to be a part of his cabinet. This is a former military man. Nobody's questioning that? Nobody's questioning his record in Chicago?
That's right.
Who in the Congressional Black Caucus is questioning? Nobody. And we continue to give them our votes blindly. And what's even worse is that we vote name recognition continuously. Oh, I know what I'm going to vote for. You had Al Van in this community for I don't know how many years. Councilman, the Congress, and whatever else he was doing. Look at Bed-Stuy now. Completely gentrified. Now, some of us live in this area, but now you are surrounded. You don't know who's around you. Who is Antifa?
Keisha, can you do what? Can you clear that up so we can get that? No. That's all we
Who is around you? You don't know. Because we forgot our arms. See, when our brothers went into the Civil War, they understood the power of arms. And a lot of our brothers broke into armories to arm the community. You have Israeli Mossad soldiers right now who are training Hasidics in Brooklyn. We'll show you that too. In Brooklyn. How many black men and women from the military are coming back home and training us? We feel comfortable in the conditions that we're in, and we shouldn't. Amar Arbery should tell you that. Never isolate yourselves with these people. Even though you're gentrified, you better get to know all your neighbors. Everybody on my block know who I am. And around the corner and around the next corner, they know me by first name. Do you know all your neighbors? Everybody on your block and around the block? And if you don't, you better start. Because we all we got. Nobody is coming to save us. Nobody. In fact, even Marcus Garvey wrote about it in his Black Man's Magazine. Marcus Garvey was a clear proponent of arms. He wasn't playing with you. Everybody had arms. I don't know if you can see it, but all of the men have swords and firearms. All of the men have firearms. The women, swords and firearms. And it is for that very reason that New York State has the toughest gun laws in the world. Because too many black men and women were arming themselves. Right here in New York. I'm going to show you too why they changed it. All of these men, armed. You have the Caribbean Day Parade that takes place here in Brooklyn. You got, the African American Day Parade in Harlem. If they ain't government workers, ain't nobody armed. Nobody armed. You have private security with the Hasidics. Show them. Where's our private security? Matter of fact, grant money has just been given again to the guardian angels, the sleeper cat. Who's getting grant money for security for us? Nobody. Nobody's even asking. We just want to get Trump out of office. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. We lost everything. Everything. These prominent black men were some of the wealthiest on Myrtle Avenue, on Claremont Avenue, on Franklin Avenue. You talk about Weeksville. Weeksville money didn't compare to their money. And they lost it and they gave up their arms because they trusted. Why would you do that? Life in Tulsa. Business everywhere. Business everywhere. Everywhere. That brother right there was the brainchild. John Stanford. A lot of black businesses are flourishing right now. But they're spread out. They're not community-based. Mr. Stanford made it a rule. We will loan you money to start your business in Tulsa. But it must be in Greenwood. Can't be nowhere else. And when you become established, you got to kick money into the pot so you can get the next one up. Now you got a black business head, one over there, and one in Harlem, and this is crazy. Because the reason you must have it that way, like the Jews do here and the Asians do here, they're community-based and their businesses are community-based. That is their power. So when a community is in trouble and they go to the business, let's say Doc Lewis is running for president and he lives in this neighborhood. Everybody who owns a business in this neighborhood must contribute to his campaign. And he's going to do what we tell him to do. Period. We don't have that same ideology, which is why we lost everything, which is why we continue to lose everything. Banks and all. Banks and all. Everything. Because we gave up our arms. This is the aftermath. We got these brothers here with their arms up in Tulsa. Reminiscent of what's happening now. Hands up, don't shoot. Nobody else does that but black people. And no one will respect you. No one. That's why we're on the bottom all over the world. We refuse to mount up a military attack against our oppressor. We refuse to employ our own. Some people have a black business. I have a t-shirt company. It's just going to be me and myself. I'm not hiring no employees. I know so many people who sell t-shirts, apparel. How many employees you got? You mean to tell me you couldn't find one black boy or girl during the summer where you could pay them $100 stipend? But you want me to support your business? What are you doing for the community? It's disrespectful. We have no... This is also Tulsa. Now, I'm told that this might be a picture of Dick Rowland, but I doubt it, because I can't get back into the National Archives right now. I question this picture because I'm a fashion expert. And I know the fashion of the times. So that's a little skeptical to me. We are clear that the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation has informed the public that a lot of metropolis police departments are infested with white nationalist groups. It's nothing new. Here's an article in the late 1890s where the Klan came to the police officers and told them what they want to do. Still today, you've had black people in office since the late 1800s, and nobody has dealt with this issue. But we keep voting. Even W.E.B. Du Bois, and I laugh at this because when I found this, I was laughing. I had to read this like 4 or 5 times. Even he understood the power of the firearm. He said a mob had raged for days killing Negroes. I bought a Winchester double-barrel shotgun and 24 rounds of shells filled with buckshot. If a white mob had stepped on campus where I lived, I would not have hesitated and sprayed their guts all over the grass. Now the W.E.B. we've been told was, soul of black folks, W.E.B. Nobody talks about him saying, we got to arm ourselves. Huh? Even Fannie Lou Hamer said so. She said, I keep a shotgun in every corner of my bedroom. And the first cracker even looked like he wanted to throw some dynamite on my porch. He won't write his mama again. What ancestors are you following? The ones white folks tell you are good enough to follow? Or are you really doing research? Malcolm told you, don't trust white folks. He said, I've never seen a sincere white man. Not when it comes to helping black people. But y'all ran off of Biden. Okay. Usually, things like this are done by white people to benefit themselves. The white man's primary interest is not to elevate the thinking of black people or to waken black people. The white man's interest, I know because I did it for weeks, driving past just to see. They're in and out, in and out, in and out. If you go to Charles Barron and Inez Barron office, it's empty. When you go to their community board planning meetings, they're talking about land grab. They're talking about business ownership, liquor licenses. When you go to our community board meetings, they talk about programs. And yet, we continue to vote them in. When I ran for the city council under the Freedom Party, that was my #1 carrying cry. That 90% of the development in this community belong to black people. I don't care if it is a McDonald's that you already agreed to put here. Great. The franchisee must be black.
That's right. That's right.
Nobody is putting these demands for us. Nobody. What should we be doing? Building independent political parties. Mass institution building programs. We don't have that. We got so many great scholars. We still don't have a collegiate house of our own. Stop cooperating with the system. Why are you so afraid to let it fall? Biden himself, giving his acceptance speech, said that he and Kamala made it because of the black vote. You have always been the balance of power, legally and historically. voted in that election, giving them political leverage. That's why you're always the balance of power. It wasn't Latinos, it wasn't Asians, midgets, or anybody else. It was black people. And you're still on the bottom because nobody placed the demand. And that's disgraceful. Hell, even Bishop Henry McNeil Turner said to arm yourselves. He said, trade in your cloaks for firearms. Protect yourselves. There is no way in hell that Dylan Roof can walk into a church, sit there for over an hour, and nobody question that white boy. We give them too many passes. And some of us today will go into spaces like this, and one of them will show up, and nobody will say, well, wait a minute, what the hell are they doing here? Who the hell are you, and why are you here? We too comfortable in our own suffering. We got to change all that. Our family believed in firearms. This I got from the library. A brother, so many arms, everything around here are rifles. He's arming his people, arming themselves. Are you arming yourself now? There's a picture, it's a little blurry, but this is a little girl who playing with a toy gun and helmet, and she just did it upon herself, at least that's what the article said, because she was mimicking the black men and women around her. Hell, my great-grandmother came from South Carolina because she was known for slicing crackers. She had to be on the run with babies in tow. What is your legacy? I'm following my ancestors. Find out what your legacy is. Even Robert F. Williams made it plain. What ancestors are we following? These are the ones you should be following. Assata Shakur, nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to a moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. And we still doing that. And you wonder why our young people are out here reckless. They don't respect us. I had a young brother tell on a set of a video shoot. Young brother said, I'm 28. How did y'all do this and leave me in this? It's embarrassing to answer him. Everybody, he says, got a way out in their life, except for us. But you don't want us to hustle. But you don't want us to get it. Some of y'all call the police on them quick. Quick. Every community has a mafia to protect it. Chinese have a mafia. Jews have a mafia. The Amish have a mafia. We want to get rid of ours instead of organizing with them. That's why our young women are trafficking like never before. Kidnapping, rape, and sexual trafficking of black girls and women is at an all-time high. Ain't no protection no more. On top of getting rid of those who could be protecting us, you're now gentrifying. Willingly. When Yusuf Walker, let me tell you something. When he went into that community, what happened? They chased him out. They killed him, didn't they? Y'all welcome me. You don't ask no questions. I see white folks on my block, thank God I don't live over there with me. But when I see them back, what you want over here? What you doing? Why you knocking on think we on a come up. But that's not what the great Winnie Mandela said. Any acceptance of humiliation, indignity, or insult is an exception of inferiority. I had the pleasure of meeting this woman. To have her hug and touch me and tell me to continue to fight. How can I turn around and not? What ancestors are you worshiping here? We got to look back, family. We got to look back. Because we forgot. I'm going to remind you right now. Who was the first black president? The black man to run for president in this country? Does somebody tell me? Who was the first black man to run for president in this country? Dick Gregory? Dick Gregory? Dick Gregory? First black man to run for president was George Edwin Taylor. And what party did he run under? The National Negro Civil Liberties Party. They formed their own in 1902. This is 1902. They understood. We can't win in this duopoly. It don't work. And I would implore you to please read up on this brother. Read up on him. He was nothing to play with either. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even supposed to run for office. Another man was supposed to run, another brother. But the brother who was running was arrested for killing a Klansman. And he got off with a jury of 12 white men. And so while he was dealing with that case, they had a backup plan. So George Edwin Taylor stepped in. He said, I'm going to read this quick part here. He said, excuse me, in 1904, Taylor's last foray into politics, he remained there in Iowa until 1910 when he moved to Jacksonville, Florida. There he edited a succession newspaper and was the director of the African American branch of the local YMCA. He was married but had no children, and he died in '68 in Jackson. Taylor's presidential race was exotic. In an interview published by the City Sun, New York, November 20th, 1904, he observed that while he knew whites thought his candidacy was a joke, he believed that an independent political party could mobilize African American vote and was the only political way that blacks could exercise political influence. He didn't say vote Democrat or Republican. This is when black folks had money and wealth. They had to have a political arm to protect it. And so these black men stepped up. Because news articles was going out like this. You ever wonder when you look at these pictures like this, you ever see black people photographs in the 1890s, early 1900s, they're always impeccably dressed.
Yeah, always.
The reason that is because there were so many cartoons in newspapers depicting black people as dirty animals, dogs, and whatever else. If you don't believe me, you can go online to the National Archives and look for them for yourself. That's why they did it. But we don't even know that history. But we continue to vote. Who was the first black woman to run for president in this country?
Shirley Chisholm.
Shirley Chisholm. The first black woman to run for president in this country was Charlene Mitchell. But why are they pushing Shirley Chisholm to you? Could it be that she was pro-feminist?
That's right.
Well, or it could be the
Worse
fact.
than that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be nice, man. I'm trying to be real nice. But Shirley Chisholm was also the ghostwriter for many presidents. She wrote a lot of their speeches, even Eisenhower.
Really?
So that was a payback, amongst other things. But this woman, who ran under the Communist Party, it ain't Shirley Chisholm.
What year was that?
68.
Where's she from?
She's from Tennessee. At least that's where her mother and father resided, Tennessee. Her campaign kicked off right here in New York. But they pushed Shirley Chisholm to you. You cannot trust the political status quo as it is. It is convoluted, it is compromised, and everything that you see ain't what you see. Because you got all of these so-called civil rights activists right now who are talking so badly about Donald Trump. And I'm not a Donald Trump fan, best believe that. He can die for all I care. But one white supremacist ain't no better than the other.
No.
I equate it to a rape. You can either get raped in the raw or somebody can use Vaseline. Either way, you're going to get raped. But we believe otherwise.
We should straight up about
They're all friends, they're all buddies. These are photographs. Sharpton, Jesse, Russell Simmons, Venus and Serena, Michael, Oprah, all of them together with Trump.
Yeah.
This came off his Twitter feed, not mine.
Jim Brown, right?
So don't say I adopted nothing. This came straight from him. And right now, even though Biden and Kamala Harris said that they wouldn't have made it without the black vote, the Latino has already compromised you. They're members of white nationalist groups too. In particular, the Proud Boys. They've already tried to steal a narrative from you, black women.
Night at 9 p.m. What you just walked us through, the huge margins I walked through in the last segment, the power of young voters, and particularly a diverse coalition, and really people of color, but specifically women of color, putting Joe Biden over the top of what that means. If that all just exploded along with, a clear electoral margin a Tuesday night, that might have sunk in. Instead, we had a lot of other stuff between then and now that doesn't really matter. And so I wonder what you think about that, because going forward, this is also about power, and does the Democratic Party understand why it's back in power?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, I think campaign financing needs to be looked at. I think the way in which we campaigned, there were so many false ads in Florida in Spanish. Spanish wasn't regulated the same as in English, and so I do think we need to take a look at that. Again, our work is just beginning, but I want to talk about what you just said about the women. The women of color showed up in big ways. Of course, you saw
women of color, black women.
Black women have done, but Latina women were the real heroines here.
Look at
Men turnout.
She's already still in the narrative.
Biden Harris at an average rate close to 3-1, and that wasn't surprising to us. Latinos are the CEOs of the households. They make all the financial decisions and healthcare decisions and educational decisions. Many Latinas are small business owners, and they wanted a plan for recovery for themselves, not for Wall Street. And so Trump's policies were never aimed at the struggling Latina community. And if you look at voter suppression on top of that, how Latinas showed up, even through the closing of polling places, and the shutting down of drop-off sites, and new voter ID laws, and long lines, and driving 30 miles, and all that, and on top of that, restrictions and safety protocols of a pandemic. That spirit and perseverance that Latinas use in their daily lives, the struggle to pay their bills and the struggle to show up to their jobs and homeschool their kids and take care of their elders, that's the same perseverance and spirit they use to show up at the polls.
Not true. In fact, more Latinos voted for Trump in this election.
That's right.
But she's already stealing the narrative. Now you have black women in the Congressional Black Caucus. Nobody challenged this heifer. Nobody. Where's Roland Martin to challenge this heifer? Where's Simone Sanders to challenge her? Joy Reid. Where they at to challenge her? Nobody's challenging her.
And black fools now.
Well, them too, them too.
Professor Black.
We gonna deal with them as well. We gonna deal with them as well.
Right.
But I say all that to say is, who's fighting for us? This is how people co-opt black history. And when they look back in history, we all will be dead and gone 100 years from now, unless you got a magic pill. We'll be dead. And our descendants will be looking at the 2020 election, and the narrative is the Latino vote did it. That's why they got more funding for DACA. The image of DACA is the Latino. Nobody's talking about Trinidadians. Nobody's talking about Haitians. Nobody's talking about Jamaicans, Africans. It's Latino. Even then, the narrative is stolen. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting ready but us. And stay away from Black Lives Matter. That is not a black organization fighting for the right for black people. These are their principles. Came off their website. It's not me. Diversity, restorative justice, unapologetically black, black females, black women, black villages, globalism, loving engagement, whatever the hell that means, empathy, and queer affirming. Nothing about the black man or the black family. Yet they built their brand off of the death of a black boy, Trayvon Martin, and nobody steps to them. And I hear a lot of y'all out here, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. You like that narrative? Black people love slogans. We're rhythmic people, and they know that. They know that. Two major funders of this group ain't black people. One being George Soros, the other is Warren Buffett Jr. Where are their headquarters? Anybody know?
Cali.
They ain't got no headquarters. Millions and millions of dollars fund to this group of people who hire protesters.
On Craigslist.
Matter of fact, there's a website. Some of y'all got your smartphones. Protestjobs.com.
11 hours out.
Damn.
Get out.
That's why you see so much chaos in these streets. And unfortunately, because we want to do something, a lot of our people want to do something. But because we aren't educated politically, because we aren't educated militarily, we just throw ourselves to the wolves. And now you got queer folks out there with Antifa and Boogaloos and everybody else. Look at their new coloring book. This is Black Lives' new coloring book. Now here you have a picture of a black man dressed as a female. And it says transgender affirming. Everybody has a right to choose their own gender by listening to their own heart and mind. Really? You are a mental nut. Everyone gets to choose if they are girl or boy. Now, because they've been so proactive over the suffering of black people, their agenda first. That's what Biden said.
First 100 days.
LGBTQ.
First 100 days.
And whatever else letters they added on to it. I don't even know no more.
Damn.
Not the black people who put them in office. Black men must be disgusted by this. I'm disgusted. I got a husband, son, nephew, great nephews. I am offended by this. Remember just, when was it? March and April, they was marching through the streets, Molotov cocktails and all kind of foolishness. And using your suffering as the face of it.
That's right.
You gotta change that. Here you got a sister, this is right here runs up to some white dude trying to defend her gender-loving white, whatever they call it, I don't even know. I get confused.
Partner.
And one of them boogaloos knocked her right on out.
That's right.
Out cold. Watch this. And she got a knife in her hand now. Still reluctant to stick a crack. Watch this.
Oh,
Knocked her
shit.
out cold and hungry. This past weekend in D.C. This is the result. First of all, sisters, let me be clear to you. If you're in a confrontation such as this, first of all, she shouldn't have been in that man's face. That's number one. You have to understand the strength of a man. Now, I'm very well trained in fighting, in combat fighting. But I do know my limitations. So while I'm here tonight, even though my husband is doing what he has to do to make sure I'm well taken care of, he expects every man in here to protect me. So if they came in here acting crazy and I was murdered, he gonna come see y'all first.
That's right.
Absolutely.
She should not have been out there like that. Then two, she got on the wrong attire. If you're going to be in a crowd, which I hope all of you stay away from crowds, please. But if you're going to be in a confrontation with somebody, you must have some agility. You must be able to jump, run backwards, forwards, and sideways. A lot of us are so sick with illness, you can't fight nobody. I see 80-year-old Caucasian males in Shirley Chisholm Park every Sunday working out relentlessly.
Prospect Park too, right, Mike?
And when I drive past, or ride my bike, I ride my bike through. When I ride my bike past CCC, which is one of the largest churches in New York City, our people are going in with walkers and canes and coughing, can't hardly stand. I don't know how many medications. This medical apartheid is real.
Yeah, I gave them out.
Teach.
20 medicated pills in a day.
We got to change the game. You got to understand what we're dealing with here. I'm going to show you that I don't make these things up. I have a way to even trick my sisters to work out. You know, Veronica will tell you that. I got a way to trick them. I'm getting them war ready without them even knowing. I'm good at that. Now, Mr. Trump, current president, at least he is until the 20th, stand back and stand by. Let him tell you. Let one of them Proud Boys tell you.
And
Bubba.
but remember, or con.
Stick it.
Too many
Yes. We are part
Hold on, we gonna.
they don't take
Go back.
Don't worry about that. Hold on 1 second. Just so you know, the Sons of Trump is a biker gang. Their uniforms are on sale at Amazon. A lot of y'all shop Amazon, don't you? Now, if I had a Kill Cracker t-shirt, I can't put that on Amazon.
Right? Cops be looking for you.
Y'all shop Amazon. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Let's see if we can get this guy out. I want you to hear what he says. What you see now with this Antifa and right-wing groups or terrorist groups fighting each other in the street. This is a civil war. You have federalists against anti-federalists. Black people have no business in that fight. No business whatsoever.
I don't know if a lot of y'all understand this or not, but come November, there's a war coming. Whoever wins, and it's down to two, we already know this, third party, they don't even matter. It's down to two. One or the other is going to win. As a certain supporter, we know which one's going to win. Trump 2020. But there's a thing about it. The reason why I say there's a war coming is because if Trump wins, Black Lives Matter and all them other Antifa dumbasses are going to try to start war. We ready, don't worry, we ready. Us rednecks and stuff, we ready for y'all. But if Biden wins, we coming, and we coming strong.
You don't have to worry about them coming to Brownsville. Be good over there. See, they know where to go. It's catching a lot of us by ourselves. Especially when you don't know what's around you. Last time I was here, I told you what these signs mean. Right? And you see your presidents and candidates using these symbols all the time. What does it mean? 3 fingers. That's the white power symbol. Politicians use this. That's their circle.
What's that second? Oh. What that mean? The second one?
Even on planes, not paying attention. Let me tell you something. Don't record. Stop all that damn recording and start swinging. We do too much damn recording. And not enough swinging. This should have never went down on a plane. To Jamaica, of all places.
I just did.
Look at this dude. He's sitting there recording. While sisters being cursed at and spit on him. Now this training is on an airplane. Now if I did it, they gonna throw me off the plane. I'm getting thrown off. He's on an airplane with a raising the black woman. Look, all kind of N-words and everything. All black people in this plane. Ain't nobody kick his teeth in.
You would have.
Nobody.
You reach fat ass. She just fucking. That's a felony assault. Assault. Felony. Assault.
Look at the students.
Who's this, motherfucker?
Everybody's on code except black people. You gotta get on code.
Who's this? You're done. You lost your bet. Who's next? You lost. Threaten me. You need America.
Nobody stopped us. Nobody. And the dude sitting there recording. As soon as I was done with him, I would have punched him in the mouth. Because he's a disgrace. He let it go down. Ain't say a mumbling word. Now, if all of us start throwing up gang signs out in the public and law enforcement roll by, we in some trouble. We in some trouble. But they can do it. Look at them gang signs. This is coming off their Twitter feeds, not mine. Hamas. Why do they work with Hamas? Hamas provides training facilities for boogaroos, Proud Boys, things like that. You can go on YouTube and see it for yourself. They bold with it. They bold with it. I want you to see this before we go to break, because this will bring you back into why voting is a disgrace. And I will never partake choosing the lesser of two evils, which is ridiculous. Now, if anybody comes to your front door threatening you with a weapon, take them out of here. Take them out of here. Stop being afraid and so hands off with these white folks, Asians and everybody else who's attacking black people left, right, and center. This Karen comes to somebody's door.
He didn't attack the dogs. He didn't attack the dogs. You know what? What? You guys are acting like it.
She got a taser in her hand.
I was raised in Oklahoma.
Wait, can you repeat that one more time? We're acting like what?
I was raised in Oklahoma City, where there were tons of black people.
But we're acting like what?
You're acting like people that aren't normal.
Okay. So you act nice when you're on the news, when you're on social media, get the fuck off the property. Get the fuck
You know,
off.
I have a top secret clearance.
I don't give a fuck, bitch. Get the fuck off the property.
Go back in the house. Go back in the house. Since we're acting like black people. Right? We're acting like black people, and that's not normal.
Most people don't act like you.
How we acting?
Look at her pointing the
Over
taser.
here with a taser.
I came over here because your pit bull attacked my
He
dog.
didn't attack your dog. Not at all.
Your son was out here with
And
it.
he didn't attack the dog. The dog, I saw the dog. I saw you pet the dog. You
I
pet
didn't
the
pet the
dog.
dog. I just pet the dog because I wanted to see if he was okay.
You didn't pet the dog, but you pet the dog because you wanted to see if he was okay.
What if you record all this?
I am recording. You're about to be famous.
You know what? You're gonna go.
You're about to be famous. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go?
You're gonna go to hell.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna sue the hell out of you.
All right. All right.
I would have kicked her old behind down the road somewhere. How you come to somebody's door and you know, stop recording and start swinging? We getting ready to take a break. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with even more because most importantly, family, please stay away from large crowds. Please educate yourselves politically. And never, never, never get caught in the middle of chaos where you need not be.
That's right.
Never. I've been standing here the whole time with a weapon on me, and none of y'all saw it. Pay attention, be focused. When we come back, I'm going to show you how you can get some things, because here in New York City, we can't walk around with a firearm on our hip unless you're former law enforcement. But there are other things that you can do.
Put the lights on, right?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first half. We got, if anybody want croissants, we got coffee and tea and hot chocolate in the other room. We got croissants, cookies, and lemonade right here. Thank you, Sister Keisha.
Go to YouTube and listen to what you see. Black Nobody's teaching you how to build nothing. You ain't even got a sword. Can't use a butter knife.
Come on. Stop.
That's a fact. You ain't telling the truth.
Stop.
The gun ban, restriction for gun rights for black people began in 1837. You all, and because we are pressed for time, you all can look it up yourselves. It wasn't for white folks, it was for black folks. In fact, King Louis in the 1600s, when they started flooding African city shores, he put in an edict that you better control them. They cannot have firearms. If you send them out hunting, you better be in control of that firearm. You can read that yourself. Edict put out by King Louis. Let's see, I'm trying to open it. Give me 1 second. Yes. Gun control is for black people only. And this is an article that I got out of a newspaper, Mint Press News, in 2015, when I first did my lecture, 100 Years of Lynching Continued. It's not for everybody else, it's for you. And the reason is for what I showed y'all earlier. When Garvey had everybody armed to the hill.
See that clear.
Everybody armed to the hill. This brother right here, Thomas Mundy Peterson. Anybody ever heard of him?
No.
He's the first black person to vote ever in New Jersey. But you're supposed to be following your ancestors and you don't even know who they are. And it's purposefully done that way. And when you read up on Thomas Mundy Peterson, you'll find out why he was so significant. Because after he placed his first vote and the attacks that black people received at that particular time, he put out an edict, we got to form our own parties. And that's why you're seeing a lot of black men in that particular time, during the late 1860s or 1870s, in the Senate, as Republicans, they was getting that information so they could see how to form their own parties. And he was leading the charge. Here you have black people casting their votes in the 1946 to be exact. Nobody got any arms like they had before. 1930s, black women placing their vote. Picture on the right is people protesting against police brutality in the 1930s. We still doing it today. That's retarded. Here you have a protest. Remember I told you, you shouldn't confront an aggressionist with nothing. Here you have a line of Klansmen and black people on the other side. The wealth and the power is gone. Now you just got to vote. Because remember, they cleared out Durham, North Carolina. Wheatsville is gone. Tulsa is gone. The oil fields in Minnesota that belong to black people is gone. All you got now is a vote. Even in that wealth power that they had. Yes, our people were armed, but nobody understood that they must have a security mechanism to protect them. They feel we doing well, we on our own, ain't nobody bothering us, we can live the way we want to. White folks are the master thieves. They steal
That's right. That's right.
So you should always be nervous or worried about what's happening. Here you got a protest for the Scottsboro boys. You got a protest for the Central Park 7. Protest for Chanel Lewis. Still happening. And even in that, you know, once that documentary came out about the Central Park survivors, as they say, I heard all these chants, even from Oprah, never again. Where the hell was Oprah for Chanel Lewis?
That's right.
Happened again right under our noses.
Somebody might not know who that is, Keisha.
Chanel Lewis, young African-American male, live here in Brooklyn, has some mental challenges. However, he was taking a walk on the Spring Creek Park in the Howard Beach side.
Right. Oh, yeah, right. Good job.
And accused of murdering Katrina Vetrano, whatever her name is.
Right. That's it.
Her father found the
After
body.
being followed illegally by NYPD.
Twice.
Her father found the body.
Nobody questioned this. They said never again after Central Park. Happened again.
Right.
But Eric Adams wants to run for borough president.
Mayor.
Mayor, excuse me.
Right.
He wants to run for mayor. And black people will give him their vote. When Sister Thelma was beaten in the Red Apple Nail Salon in Flatbush, Eric Adams wasn't there.
That's right.
I know because I was out there. I talked to Miss Thelma.
Yes, you were.
Introduced her like Grays in the park. What was it, Partridge Park?
Yeah.
Miss Thelma?
Yeah.
Nobody came up to that woman. I came and brought her where we was at. He wasn't there. But the following week, there was Sunset Park. There was some graffiti. I think it was a swastika and some other things written on the gate of an Asian business. Eric Adams had a press conference and said this will not be tolerated. He didn't say that for Thelma. But we'll give him our vote. Because we're afraid. We vote name recognition often. That's a problem, family. That is a problem. And if he doesn't have an agenda for us, don't vote for him. Why are you doing it? A lot of civil unrest is happening, and we paying the price. We paying the price. Open? There you go. Sure. Yes. Sure. Just this past weekend, you had the Million MAGA March. Black Lives Matter in the middle of Antifa and Proud Boys fight. Now watch this. Watch the two sisters who just went action. She chasing him. Whatever he is. Pushes him in the back. That's what you get fighting people with tight jeans. You will get beat up. Boom! Hit him with your goon! Huh? Ain't no record. But police come after him. 23 black people was arrested. At least by my investigation. I don't know if there were more, but that's the only police records I can find. For 23.
That was in D.C.?
This past weekend.
Yeah.
This past weekend in D.C.
They tried to mimic the Million Man March, but I guess a millionaire showed up because they showed what it was.
Well, there was well over 100,000. I don't follow mainstream media. I follow their
Oh, shit, shut the fuck up!
because they don't record the show.
Take your ass, you belong, bitch! Ah, fuck!
Huh?
Oh, they see they arrested the
Huh? Black people have no business out there. No business. But you see, the brother took a stance, a fighting stance. Now here's a black Trump supporter with her two biracial children. Look at this. She got her children. Little girl frightened, screaming for her life. Watch little girl get knocked down. You hear the child screaming for her life. Hit the ground. One girl hit the ground. She got this past weekend.
Fuck you, you won't get that back. I'm the best.
You didn't see this on Main Street. CBS, NBC, NBC, National News. And the police was complicit. Did you see the rest of anybody that showed you was complicit? The dude was swinging flag. This is ain't gonna remember. Now she will be able to get that.
My children just got one child. You got a selfie. Over here. Look at my hat.
Now, as a mother, you never. She's busy in an argument with some white supremacists, and her children are behind her. Shouldn't even brought the children in. Be careful, sisters, when you move in with your children and grandchildren.
To live with mine.
So I want y'all to see this a little bit clearer. Watch this. This is a war between white folks. Black people ain't got no business in it. These white folks fighting each other. I love white on white crime.
You saw my Facebook page.
I want to see a commission on MSNBC on white on white crime. So when those black politicians start running their mouths.
I can announce to you right now, in high confidence,
I told you the Cuban is with them. You understand?
They gotta be out of Miami.
Of course. You know that. Look at this sodomite. After he starts the trouble, he just walks off. That's what you fighting for? That's what you fighting for? Can't be. Look at them. Throwing fireworks, Molotov cocktails at each other. What kind of stuff? And the police, Nancy don't ain't much yet. Come on, family. Let's be a little bit wiser here. We have to. We have to be a little bit wiser in how we operate. This is a fight between white folks, and we leave it at that. If the Democratic Party must fall, make it. So war between white folks and the LGBTQ and Antifa is using your suffering. And so when these wicked beasts see you out on yourselves, they're going to attack you. You Black Lives Matter. You would never catch me being that Black Lives Matter. Look at the Cubans in the front. Mainstream media, we believe hardly nobody showed up in D.C. That's not true. It's not true. Now, I think maybe Veronica may have seen what I have been posting with the Setmars here in Brooklyn. Setmar, whatever they call, whatever they want to call themselves, the Hasidics.
Oh.
The
Wish they
Hasidics.
were a Jew.
Well,
Doctor didn't know me.
well,
Who are they?
it is
No, I know who.
in Club Sugar Hill. Tony's black women. This is Club Sugar Hill. Oh, no, she died.
Those are the cow.
You too comfortable.
Exactly. Oh, you have to see them do this over there. What can you see?
This is crazy. I can't even look no more. That's crazy. I got sick to my stomach. Mind you, they have social media pages. That's where I got it from. Okay? That's where I got it from their social. Here it is, the Satmar Strip Club. That's the name of their page, Satmar Strip Club. Now you wonder why the Bed-Stuy Ambulance Corps is going. And they couldn't get no funding, grant funding from the city. It was taken from them, the Bed-Stuy Ambulance Corps.
They was taking it from the black.
They took it from them to give it to them.
Exactly.
They now have those funds. And they got their own ambulance corps.
But they stole
Look,
the Bed-Stuy.
This is how one guy, Teshi Hishler, who's running for city council here in, I think it's Borough Park. This is his advertising.
Night, my friend.
That's him. Who, one of his strongest supporters is Eric Adams. And I got footage on that too. Here you go, Jews for Trump. This is New York. This last couple of weeks ago. Jews for Trump. Hold on, I want you to see that's them on the FDR.
Good afternoon.
Just a second. Now here's restrictions in the city. I'm also going to show you how they steal your culture. Okay? Right now there is restrictions, limited persons in the city. They said to hell with the
He told me sometimes he gets high. It's such a chill. I told him, you know how I get high? I get high on the butter oil. On a medicine on the night.
Give me a second. I want you to see them.
We'll sell it back to you. Tell them they started it.
I'm going to show you still in pop culture and everything. Right under your noses. I'm going to show you them in the middle of a synagogue shouting Black Lives Matter. Okay?
Israel is
Still in pop culture. Right under your noses. Stealing your culture.
Step off that plane from Israel. It said niggas should be happy to be a slave of a Jew.
I'm really trying to
Off
get
at
you
the airport.
the rabbis arming themselves here. These who trained them. It's Israeli soldiers who trained them. And this is all I got all from their social media site. So they can't say I took nothing. They even catch themselves in the acts of prostitution. Look at this. Look at this.
Mazel tov. Nuchem Rosenberg, Mazel tov.
Look like a penis.
Nuchem Rosenberg, Mazel tov.
Come on. This is how the Hasidics approach black women on Flushing Avenue in Brooklyn.
I look Hasidish, I'm good, it's fine. The main thing is the fuck, no? What?
Hold on, let me go back.
Hello, missus, please can I fuck you? What's this, sir? I look Hasidish, I'm good, it's fine. The main thing is the
Now you're
fuck,
trying to
no?
holler at a black woman. This is what he says to her. Here's another one caught in the act of prostitution. Where the police at? This is all over social media. But they'll block my stuff. I've had so many videos pulled already. And this is what we're dealing with. Look at them, they about to holler, Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace. Stop. Stop them. But that's what they're shouting. Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace. For some reason it stopped. But here he is. Here's the rabbi getting ready. This is in Brooklyn. Reverend Hooper ain't got no firearm. This is in Brooklyn. For some reason, look at them smoking weed and everything. But they'll lock you up. I guess they got a hover over here, I guess. They don't want these videos to show over here, I guess. He rolling up with a box full of weed.
I got it from Amazon.
Look at him. That's what's going on in the synagogues. No police bothering him or nothing.
Delicious. See, here's when it's calm. She's like, there's a better, she's a book in human.
Come on.
Next level.
Come on. And they're the most respected group in this city because they have emerging nation status. If anybody should have emerging nation status, it should be African American. 3 and 4 conversations going on at the same time. This took place yesterday. Asian on Asian crime. I didn't hear nobody having any symposiums to deal with Asian on Asian crime. This is in, I think, Flushing. And in the middle of the street. Bats, everything. That's how they get there. You ain't seen no police yet. Well, they won't come in there because the Chinese mafia will deal with it. They'll deal with it. Now, the dude with the bat, he's going to go back into the street and swing on the vehicle that just pulled off. Then watch what happens. There's a city bus right there. Trying to get past. Dude hits him with the vehicle, rams him into the store. Vehicle and all. Now, why wasn't this on every news media outlet? The way if it was one of us, it would be on every news media outlet. Please, family, because we get ready to close out because I want everybody to go home safe. Seek a political education. Learn your own history. Never let anyone tell you who your leaders, who you should idolize. Always dig and find out why. Because if you don't, generation after generation after generation will continue to suffer. And we can't do that anymore. Our children look at us like we're crazy now. I spend a lot of time with young people on a daily basis. And they are disappointed in us. We have to build industry for them. Unemployment is at an all-time high. And we have no damn answers for them. But you don't want them to hustle. You got gentrifiers coming in. No place for them to live. Everybody's priced out of New York. We let that happen. Because we refuse to put to the fire. Black women, please train yourselves. Train. Work out. Get fit. You should not be tired from standing on your feet for more than 3 hours. Everybody over the age of 50 should not be sickly. Take walks. The parks are free. Use it. You have to have oxygen in you. So, I know how our people are, so I got to trick them. Get them ready and train for war without them even knowing it. I know how our people are. If it's a good time, they coming out.
Anybody got any questions for?
You make it a good time.
Questions for Keisha?
1 second, Ray. You make it a good time, they'll come out. In droves. I organized this event 2 years ago. Black Women Bike and Hike. Each year, more and more women are coming out. Sisters came all the way from Miami this year. Get them ready for war without them even knowing it. to be a yearly thing. Now some of the sisters and myself, it is now monthly. They want to do it more. They want to do it more. Veronica was there. You got to trick our people. We can do this. Get trained. Protect yourselves, your family, your home. Always have something on you to help you defend yourself. You can get a paracord, tactical paracord, and wear it on you and use it for self-defense. I've been standing here a whole time with a knife. None of y'all see it. None of y'all see it. Just flip it. Pull it out. It's one of the sharpest blades you ever want to feel. I can carry this. Smaller than the palm of my hand, extremely soft, and now it's concealed. It's concealed. It costs less than $9. Especially when you move it in gentrified neighborhoods. Don't be comfortable, family. Just be careful. Stay about your business. And don't give up your vote willingly. Because our people, our ancestors, didn't teach us that. Fannie Lou Hamer didn't say that. And I love Fannie Lou Hamer. I love that lady and what she stood for. How can I just willingly give my vote to Biden or Trump or anyone else without anything, an agenda on the table for us? Nothing. Laws are already on the books to deal with killer cops. Not more training. Training is not the issue. If training was the issue, Chinese people would be getting shot down in the street. Mexicans would be getting shot down in the street. It's not habit. It's not a training issue. It's a survival issue. Is it going to be them or is it going to be us? So the decision is yours. I'm done. Any questions?
Got a couple of, got one or two questions. Anybody want to ask Keisha? Anybody?
I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you got something to
And
say?
if you can, purchase, if you can get these 2 books, please do so.
Yeah, well, my question would be, what would you say to, since we are not keenly aware of our history and the history of real protests and progress, what would you say to the average black person who's Christian with respect to potentially arming themselves as opposed to, you know, what's considered Christian value?
That is Christian value. To arm yourself.
Yep.
Right?
Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Because I'll use the story of Jesus. When Jesus was pissed off with the status quo, and he went into the temple, he didn't say we're going to negotiate. We're going to vote our way out of it. We can talk our way out of it. He turned over the tables and turned everything upside down and turned the people against Caesar. If your pastor is not telling you that, your pastor is a failure to your deity. Jesus was revolutionary. I'm not a Christian, but I do read. And everything he did was revolutionary. Jesus didn't say, tithe on every Sunday. We got an offering for a new building every other Monday. He didn't say all of that. The biggest worshiper, the largest group of worshipers in this country is black women. That's by their numbers, not mine. But it is black women whose families are destroyed. Those same black women have their children, sons in the penitentiary, daughters out here acting them up, dropping off children on them. Now the grandparents are becoming parents. But you pray every day. Prayer without works is nothing. And so we met a pastor the year before in Harlem at the State Building who was teaching his parishioners about firearms. And I had never heard that before. After when he saw what happened with Dylan Roof in the AME Baptist Church in South Carolina, he said they needed to arm themselves. So he brought with him a man who was running for governor under the Libertarian Party. I don't know what the whole platform of the Libertarian Party was at that time for that candidate, but I was willing to cast my vote for him because he wanted to change the gun laws here, in particular for us.
Okay, baby.
Negroes with Guns
That's a good book too.
and Deacons of Defense. The deacons in the church, tell them about the deacons in the church.
We were arming
No,
ourselves.
just question, one last question.
Keisha, I know you said like sometimes we don't know like the politicians or whatever people, but sometimes we just don't know. I didn't know that about Eric Adams. So, you know, like you're saying, but do more research on the people.
Here's the thing.
Sometimes we
Everything,
don't know.
that's what I'm saying. Right now we're in a technological world. How do I know that Eric Adams is a huge supporter of the Satmars? Because he posted it on Twitter.
Okay.
And so I challenged him on that. I also challenged Mr. Adams when Officer Garcia beat up the black man in Lower Manhattan, beat him out of his slides. It was all over the news. And Mr. Adams said that the police officers acted appropriately. They did the right thing. And so I challenged him on what he said. So much so he had to then backtrack. But if I'm the only one doing it, a lot of people don't want to be involved with social media. That is the way of the world now. Unfortunately, either you're on board or you ain't. And a lot of things are passing us by for those of us who are not on social media. I don't choose to be there. I have to be there because that's where our young people are. That's where they at. I found out everything about the Hasidics from their social media sites. Everything. Because mainstream media is not going to tell us that.
I was attacked because of my comment about Eric Adams. When the brother from your show passed away, Father Lucas. So December 12th had a tribute to Father Lucas. And more or less, my comment was, Father Lucas wouldn't agree with Eric Adams. He has made statements he wasn't happy with him, and I was attacked, you know, by our several friends, you know, one or two people in December 12th didn't appreciate me saying that, and I told them I'm sorry.
This is my fight club. We don't play. We don't play. We out there training. We don't play. I would challenge you to go up against any of these sisters.
All right, Keisha,